and then you got these big alphas with their massive penises. I don't think I've seen a zombie thing before where it is an apocalypse, but just for a certain corner of the planet.
Funny enough, I think that's the moment the movie loses me. Funny enough. Yeah. Now you've said it, I was just thinking about it. I mean, if you showed it to me and was like, this is a scene from like a disaster movie, epic movie type film.
Oh, like a zombie movie.
Yeah, I would be I wouldn't bat an eyelid. Like, I think, it was like, it was so... Whoa!
We'll fix it in post. You know
I really love Matt and Charlie. They make the best podcast ever. And his mouth's like doing something else.
I'll get him to be like, you're just a gutless noob. This is the Full Fat Podcast. We're back. It's me and Charlie, but also a very special guest, Mr. Harry Bagg.
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
AKA, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Harry Funny Man. Back in the day. Is that old account still active?
I don't know. Please don't search it.
Please find out.
We've moved on from that channel. Let's just say that.
What I used to love about the intros to these YouTube reviews back in like 2009 is it would come up like a great reviewer, really great YouTube videos, and I went to you at school like, who did reviews for your channel? And you were like, no, I just made it up.
Did I do star ratings for my own review?
Love this channel, and all of a sudden you just made it up.
So good.
Oh, incredible.
Look where we are.
Well, look where you are now.
Yeah, thank you.
You're big time editing machismo, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, thank you, yes.
The CoffeeZilla editor extraordinaire.
I am indeed, yeah.
See, so if anything, he hired you because he saw those intros.
I don't think he wants his name on those.
Whoa, someone said he loves this guy's reviews. I'm going to check him out.
So many positive reactions.
Definitely not made up. Speaking of made up, we saw a new fiction film. Completely fiction, made up.
A non-real film.
A non-real film, yeah. It was unreal. 28 years later, the sequel to 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, the new Danny Boyle, first of a trilogy, proposed trilogy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the second one, directed by Nia DaCosta, is coming out possibly in January.
Yeah.
They've already shot.
Yeah.
28 Weeks Later, The Bone Temple. And then they haven't shot the third one yet, but that is probably going to be Danny Boyle again.
Yeah.
So they're kind of Force Awakensing 28 Days Later. We're getting like a planned out trilogy.
Yeah.
And there's a particular moment at the end, which we'll talk about, which I feel like reminded me of Force Awakens.
Yeah.
In terms of the structure of like giving you a tease for the next thing, not in terms of what happens.
Yeah.
It was nothing like Force Awakens.
It's just funny to think of it that way. Like,
it's true. Full spoilers, we're going to full spoilers. Jack O'Connell is Mark Hamill in this, isn't he? Like, it's the Mark Hamill, isn't it? It's like when's he going to show up? Oh, he showed up at the very end. Like,
so funny.
Where do you begin? Well,
Savile Skywalker.
Jimmy Savile, Teletubby, Power Rangers.
We're getting the audience hooked on the climax before we've even done the foreplay.
Yeah.
We haven't even done the foreplay yet.
True.
So, just first off, initial impressions.
Yeah.
Did we like it? Did we dislike it? Also, you're kind of the 28 Days Later aficionado.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm kind of like the middle of the road guy. I've seen both of them. I like both of them, and you've just seen the first film, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so Harry, take it away. Did you like it?
So yeah, I'm a big 28 Days Later fan. I enjoyed 28 Weeks Later. I think this is the worst of the three, and I think any time it's connected to 28 Days Later, it falls a bit short of maybe going further than what other zombie media's done. Like, if you've seen or played any other zombie video game or zombie movie, you have kind of seen a lot of this stuff before. I would say some of the character stuff's interesting, and I wouldn't say I didn't expect it, because it's in the first film. I don't know why people were going around acting as if it isn't.
The character work.
Yeah.
I think that's some of the strongest stuff in also 28 Weeks as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, we can't go into too many spoilers of 28 Weeks because you haven't seen it, but the stuff that happens with Robert Carlyle and his kids, I had no idea about any of it going into the film, and not only was it like, oh my god, that's a great opening, there was also twists and turns throughout the story. I was like, oh, I was not expecting it to go that way, in a really surprising way.
Yeah.
Set against the backdrop of also it being about kind of how can we restore society in London after 28 Days Later. So I think that's a really underrated sequel, actually. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'd give it a good 4 stars. I think.
Yeah.
I think I would. The ending falls short for me, but I think that is the case with all 3 of these films. Funny enough, I do think they kind of start on a high and then kind of slowly decrease over time. But yeah, I'd say the worst of the 3. I'd say I'm a little bit disappointed, but I have seen it a second time today, and I do feel a bit better about it. So I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5. But yeah,
I feel like I'm going to go next just because I know your opinion is the most different, and just say that I agree with you basically. And I do think it's the weakest of the 3, but I also don't think there's been a bad 28 Days Later movie. Like, I like all 3 of them to some degree. I do think we're slowly getting diminishing returns, but I also think I like that each one is trying to do its own thing. I like that we got like the Isle of Dogs and Greenwich sort of like as the main location in the second one.
Yeah.
Which gave it a bit of a different flavour to the first one, even though it was also like cityscape London, and this one was like more rural island town.
Yeah.
Like I think they've done something interesting with each one. And there's some also the more technical stuff that we can get into that I quite liked that this one did. And also I did like some of the character work.
Yeah.
I think it could have gone a bit further.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do think if you would sit me down and go like guns to my head, do I prefer 28 days, 28 weeks? I would say yes, definitely.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was nil. I think it was good. I think it was good. Could have been better. There's some stuff I didn't like that we can get into.
Yeah.
But then Mr. Negative over here. Negative Nancy over here.
Just to clarify, I'm very tired today, so my opinions
We're
also,
tired.
could also...
We're tired.
Yeah.
Tired of this negativity. Think back to the last podcast when we were talking about Doctor Who. I was so positive. Why can't you bring that to it? You know, why can't you bring some positivity to it?
Yeah, I was so happy about that one. Right. So I don't completely dislike this movie. I think it's like okay. I think it thinks it takes bigger swings than it does, and I think that ultimately, I think it's very difficult to make a zombie movie in a post Walking Dead world. I think by the time, what we're living in right now, we've seen everything we could possibly have seen with zombies. And I think that this movie kind of tries to give you newer things, but we've kind of seen them all before, but with less explanation in this for me. There's a lot of... I felt very disjointed tonally with this film. I think the first half is kind of more like the first movie, because obviously I haven't seen the second movie, but I assume so as well. And then I think from about halfway onwards, it sort of kind of loses itself for me tonally. I think it becomes a bit mixed in what it wants to be. And I think that I found that quite jarring and also kind of slowed the pace for me quite a bit. And it does some very strange choices, particularly in the third act that we can obviously unpack soon.
Yeah.
But,
when you say third act, you mean the last 2 minutes? Specifically.
Pretty much, yeah. But there are some sequences that obviously have some good tension. But yeah, I'm not sure how much I think the first half is more like what I wanted the movie to be.
The first half where it's just Dad's taking his son for a baptism of fire off the island onto the mainland, and their journey to try and get back could have been the whole movie.
Yes.
And I think the setup to it in the first 30 minutes or whatever is so good.
Yeah.
And you're kind of expecting them to, like, especially when they're hiding out, watching the Alpha, as you were saying, in the cinema, aura farming, waiting to get them. I did think, like, we're settling into, like, this is the whole movie. This is the whole movie. Yeah. And it could have been the whole movie.
So good.
And it does that thing where then it ends that sequence, by the way, also ending really well. The Alpha chasing them along the bridge to get back to the island was great.
Best sequence, I think.
And I agree. And then you're left with kind of like, oh, well, I thought this was going to be the whole movie. Where does it go next? And sometimes when movies do that, the answer is, well, we're about to blow your mind again.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like, this new premise where now the little boy is taking his mum back out into that same space. I was like, it's not quite as interesting. However, I do think, even though that is the weakest part of the film, that middle part, I do think when we get to Ralph Fiennes, I think the payoff with meeting the Doctor and getting to see the Bone Temple, I thought was probably the best character stuff in the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I did also enjoy that we like Aaron Taylor Johnson's dad, but then we're given a bit more murkiness to him, and then you're sort of given a reason to sort of... I did buy into that broken family aspect. I quite like that with it. You didn't, clearly.
I didn't. I like it as an idea. I just felt like it all happened a bit abruptly for me. It went a bit EastEnders for me. It felt a bit hammy, a little bit. I feel like that could have been done a little bit with a little bit more care. Felt like kind of come out of nowhere, really. For me, I didn't really... I mean...
I think you get leeway when it's from the perspective of the kid.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, he don't really ever seems like the perfect dad, but like...
No, of course.
He clearly cares for the family, and then seeing his dad cheating on his mum gives him a new perspective, and then... I do think when he says to him, like, you kind of want my mum to die, I do think he is waiting for her to die so he can restart his life.
Definitely got that vibe.
Yeah.
I like that they tried to do that, because I think that's what separates... that's what makes it like a sort of a kind of a British horror movie. It's dealing with that kind of kitchen sink social sort of side of it's not just about zombies. It's also got this thing. I do like it tries to do that. But I think like you mentioned a minute ago about the kind of first half being this movie. I think my problem kind of with the rest of it is also like I was saying earlier about The Walking Dead and how there's certain things it's been done. The Train to Busan, I think, probably is the best zombie movie to be made in the past for years. And I think that doesn't try and reinvent the wheel, really. It just goes, here's a kick-ass fucking zombie movie, and we're going to just make it electric from start to finish. Yeah. And I think that's kind of my issue a little bit with this, is that I kind of appreciate to some degree that it tries to do something different, but I think it still falls into the same things we've seen before. Whereas I think I would have rather if it just went like, here's a kick-ass kind of exciting movie. Whereas I feel like it kind of loses me in that middle, where I just feel like I think the character stuff with Ralph Fiennes is interesting, but there's the tension just completely just folds out.
It needed like a killer sequence at the end. Whereas instead it's almost like more of a contemplative end that definitely feels like the first part of a three-parter. It feels like the movie just kind of like ends what is a larger first act, which is a bit disappointing. Again, it's that kind of Force Awakens feeling where it's like, we've planned to do a trilogy, so you're gonna get your like new character in at the end, and you're gonna get like like the whole stuff with the baby. That's all set up for like a later movie, isn't it? Which also I did want to talk to you guys about, because I think that's the kind of stuff that pissed me off the most, and why I was really not enjoying that middle part. I can't stand the whole like, wait a minute, even though we know the infected would tear us to shreds, I'm going to go out on a limb here and try and connect with one of them and help them give birth. And it's like, it's that point in the movie where like the guy that you're not supposed to be agreeing with, and you're not supposed to be agreeing with, Eric, who's like, get away from the infected, we're going to blow it away. I'm like, yeah, he's right. Like under no circumstances would you risk this. Like, maybe it'll be okay. Like,
well, the thing is, you get away with it in a sense because she's delusioned at the time, isn't she? She can't really remember certain sequences of the day. But I think what was frustrating is if you're not a 28 Days Later fan, right? You watch that scene and you kind of take it for what it is, but you see all the blood on the baby and you go, how does this make any sense? Because the whole point of the infection from the previous movies is that you turn within seconds, and that's the horror of it. You turn within seconds, and a drop of blood gets in your eye or gets anywhere. I don't know how the baby just kind of.
Well, they explain it's like the placenta, isn't it? And like, I guess how you can have necessarily certain traits that don't get passed on.
It's a bit wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, though, isn't it?
It is a little bit, isn't it? Yes.
It is a bit.
Funny enough, I think that's the moment the movie loses me. Funny enough. Now you've said it, I was just thinking about it. I mean, by the way, this is fresh. We've just come out of the cinema pretty much. Recollecting as we're going through. So, but yeah, I did think, now I think about it, I'm like, that made me groan so hard when that happened. I was like, oh. Yeah. Any stakes that were there before have kind of just gone. They're gone.
And they somehow lose Jodie's character, even though they're literally like, it really wound me up in the film. They're literally like a couple of feet behind her, and then somehow they have to open. Well, I don't remember. They have to like open up the door for the train.
Well, that was a cool sequence with the Alpha running through the train carriages.
That was cool. That was cool.
Also, just to quickly talk about the Alpha and also like the different zombie types. It was very almost video gamey.
Very video game.
But I really liked that you got the standard zombies. and then you got these big alphas with their massive penises, who are like basically they say they're like almost on steroids, and they're like unkillable. And then you've also got these like slower, more lumbering, like gluttonous zombies that are crawling around on the ground that will eat anything. That are really like seemingly ineffective, but also like they can creep up on you. Like when the boy's sleeping or when like Aaron Taylor Johnson's not watching. Like I thought they were really effective, and I really liked that there was different kinds of zombies. But I know you didn't love the chubby zombies.
No, I think for me it's that similar thing with the baby scene. It's that I feel as though what made the infection stand out from any other zombie film is that they run and it spreads within seconds. So we are taken away from that. And as someone that's played, I don't know, Left 4 Dead or Last of Us, you know, I've seen that before. So for me, I was just kind of like, okay, well, what's the next one then? What's the next one? Is there going to be something, you know, we haven't seen before maybe? And I know it is a big ask, you know, it is hard to think of new ideas, especially when there is so much zombie media now. But at the same time, I do feel like the marketing, or more specifically when Danny and Alex talk about the film, they speak up a lot about the evolutions. But the movie's not about that, so I don't know why.
But how do they not
about it? I think they know fans love that stuff, and that's. But yeah,
because the fat zombie crawling zombie thing is another thing they've done in The Walking Dead as well.
Yeah,
and that fits because there's like they're more zombies. You know, I mean, like you said, this is more of an infected movie, right?
Yeah,
that's
it's different.
And they're like rage beings, aren't they? And I feel like I do like that there's different things, but it does kind of take away a little bit from what made those first movies special, I guess.
I do think there's an argument that's like, once from the third movie, at the same time, if it was just the same zombies, do you know what I mean? Like, you need to kind of introduce new elements.
I do get that. I think for me, where it, like, they kept reusing it. So, for example, we went from a beast zombie to alpha zombie, back to a beast zombie, back to alpha. For me, it just got a bit.
Yeah.
I thought I thought there was going to be at least one more different variant or something, you know, or maybe even stealing from the great Zack Snyder, where they maybe talk to the zombies or something, you know.
I think
even
we're
that's been done
hurting
before.
Towards the rage virus talking.
I feel like
they're constantly touching on like them kind of evolving and like humanizing them with the pregnant zombie and that kind of thing.
I think that's interesting because you could have some like Planet of the Apes style where they've got fucking camps and shit. Who
bit more of a
knows?
society.
Maybe.
Well, that is also
maybe.
That's I Am Legend, isn't it?
Yeah.
The whole twist of I Am Legend is that actually they're quite intelligent and that they have society.
Yeah.
But that's kind of touching on what you guys are saying, in that like you have done so many permutations of the zombie myth.
Yeah, it's hard.
Everything is kind of pulling from something else. But one thing I do think 28 Days, the franchise, has actually done that is quite unique, that as far as I know isn't in other zombie media, is and they have touched on here, but ironically I don't think they've touched on it enough. Maybe the next one will go into this more, is I don't think I've seen a zombie thing before where it is an apocalypse but just for a certain corner of the planet. And I think there's something so interesting in like when they meet the Swedish guy and he's like, oh, you don't know what online means, you don't know what all these delivery drivers are, like, and he shows a picture of his girlfriend and it's like, she looks like she's from the modern world that we know. But it's just so weird after like I've spent an hour watching this like apocalypse to know that like outside of here is like a really regular world. And like I want to know, as much as I want to know what society is like for the zombie land, I also want to know what society is like what is their media like? What are their songs like? What are their films like? What's like the geopolitics of that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, people sat at dinner, like, in this normal world with delivery drivers and online social media, and they're just like, oh, yeah, do you remember when, like, England used to be a country and now it's, like, a zombie wasteland? Like, isn't that weird? More wine? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what is that society like?
I agree. I think that is a very interesting part of these movies, for sure.
But this doesn't really touch on it. You sort of get it through Eric, but not...
But then I guess it's one of those things as well of, like, the more you do know about it, is it going to satisfy your answers? Is it going to become less focused on what this is? But I do know what you mean. And I think maybe the mystery is what kind of makes it a bit interesting.
Well I think, like, is there not an ethical dilemma from the people on the other side of, like it kind of reminds me of, like, Doctor Who, when, you know, like, the parallel Earth in like the David Tennant stuff, they lock away the Cybermen.
Yeah.
And then they're like, and then people started arguing like the Cybermen are people and we should like let them out. I feel like would there not be people in the outside world arguing that some of the people on that mainland deserve to be like let off? Like, is there debates going on about that? Because all we know is that like
that'd
they
be
control
a cool
the.
movie.
Do you know what I mean? But it's
I
like
agree.
that could be running as a B plot in another one of these 28 main movies, whilst we're getting this A plot on the mainland.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's one of those things that's not as interesting when you actually play it out as what we're talking about. But I just think I want to see it.
I think it's an interesting idea, and it separate. And it does that thing we were talking about. It separates it from all these other media,
which is why I think you would love 28 Weeks, because 28 Weeks I've not seen a zombie movie really do like. Oh, the infection's died out. They've starved. Yeah. Now, how do we get people to like get reintroduced to their homes and normalcy?
I wanted to watch it before. I just didn't have time. It was annoying. But I really want to watch that one. Definitely. I do think it's funny though that obviously in 20 Days Later, or these movie now, they've announced obviously that it's basically only the UK that's been affected.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know if you guys know. I don't know. I haven't watched The Walking Dead in years. I'm bringing it up so much. I heard recently that in the Walking Dead universe, the only country that hasn't been affected is the UK.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is kind of funny. I guess
well,
because
like,
we're on an
it never reached them.
Yeah, it never reached. Yeah, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting.
That's funny.
That's what I've read. Obviously, I don't know. I haven't watched it.
That's
season 4. Yeah,
that's the only thing I've heard in a long time to make me want to watch the
Walking Dead.
Yeah. That's interesting. The idea of like. Also, I think it's so like. How, in Star Wars, like all the Imperials like snooty British. Like I can imagine like in the Walking Dead world, we're all like, oh, it didn't reach us. It didn't reach us. Like like they're Imperials.
Exactly.
That's a cool idea. I do like, but this is the zombie myth. It does need those kinds of reconstructions.
100%. I think there's always a way to redo something. There's always a way to make it fresh. But I think it's just obviously done so much.
One thing I did think they did quite fresh was I really liked kind of the audiovisual package of this movie. I liked. Well, again, I know you didn't like it, but I liked when it was like boats, and it was like cutting to like wartime Britain, because it's kind of like that's where they are at as a society, isn't it? And I really liked cutting the footage of 28 Weeks Later with the sniper scope of the crowds cutting to the bow and arrows.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that as well. Actually, I did like that bit. I actually liked some of the editing in this. I did. There was moments though with the iPhone,
the big rig thing with like the 16 phones.
Not necessarily that, just shots where it would be just people and there would be like a close up they would use, where you could really see the kind of the iPhone effect in a way that doesn't feel as charming to me as the 28 Days Later VHS.
Interesting.
Because it's kind of clean and then it isn't. And then it's kind of.
Well, do you know why?
Kind of takes me out. Whereas obviously 28 Days is like it's all that. It's always in that quality. That makes sense.
But that quality complements the aesthetic of the environment, whereas this you have more saturated colours.
Yeah.
And I just think the thing is you can't. I don't think modern audiences would get on the vibe of the digital camcorder.
I think it would be tough now. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I think so.
And also, it wouldn't work as well with the greens and the blue. Like you do want them to kind of be.
Also, I actually don't think you need it for this. I think as well, like because it is in 2002. Like I feel like now, even though like they're kind of shut off from the modern world, I feel like it just wouldn't ring true to still be on like DV. But I gotta say that whole thing they've really been showing off in the market in like the rig with all the phones. Every time like a zombie would get killed and they'd like spin it around and like show all the shots in sequence, I couldn't get enough of that.
It was cool.
Keep doing it. I was into it. I thought it was really interesting.
I liked it.
And I just like it as a swing. Yeah, like just try some weird shit.
True.
I guess it's them doing kind of the halfway version of the Matrix.
Yeah. Oh, well, like the
because obviously like the.
I wonder if people got what I meant with this, like when Trinity kicks the goal.
For sure.
Yeah. Maybe we'll overlay like Trinity over.
We'll put you in the leather suit.
Yeah. You'd like that, wouldn't you? You dirty boy. You dirty kitty.
Not as good as the Alpha, though, is it?
I've never seen a cock that big.
He's back in. Was it 28 inches later? Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my god. But all the Alphas had massive dongs.
Yeah.
They did.
I actually think it makes them more terrifying. It's funny because you were talking about like earlier.
Yeah, mate.
You were talking about earlier about like the newer zombies, and I think it could have just stuck with them. They feel fresh to me. Weirdly. Just these giant Hulk. I know they've probably done that before, but like there was something about the way they use these that I was like interested in. They felt almost like it was part of its
Well,
own
it's
Why
so
they were
zombie
smarter?
cult. Yeah, because like he stood there, he was kind of
The one that was waiting.
yeah, and he called for them. Like
Yeah.
I feel like, and also like they're obviously fucking as well because he had the kid. Do you know what I'm saying?
This is something that's a question, isn't it? It's like, do you
Yeah.
think it was the alpha's baby?
Yeah, I think so because I think that's why he's trying to get into the.
I thought that
them to when they've got it. I took it.
Well, the other thing is, it's a white baby, isn't it? It's a white woman.
Oh right.
And the alpha was like an Asian dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not sure.
But then, like when it's like zombies, is it like I don't know? You know?
It must be that though, because surely she hasn't like been roaming around. Because she looked dirty, didn't she? So she's. Don't do that.
She looked fucking dirty.
Don't do that.
Dirty pregnant.
She
cow.
didn't look like she washed. Okay, she needed a nice bath, and some
dirty
candles.
She looked dirty.
No, but she looked like an old infected. So like.
Well, I thought the implication was like before they like gave birth, like was she like pregnant when she was infected? Now like the dead baby's just like in her, like it can't leave. Do you know what I mean? Because like if you have a still.
Dead.
No, but like you know when you first got the shot of her.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that we were giving birth. I thought like because you know like when you have a stillbirth and then just like get the baby out of you. I thought is it the implication like it's dead? Yeah. But it's
dark.
I thought it would have been cool, but I did like the concept.
It depends where it goes, doesn't it? It's that Force Awakens problem where it depends where it goes.
Yeah. Are the answers about Jimmy gonna be good, Mr. Jimmy?
Do we dive into Jimmy?
Let's. Careful words some of this stuff, mate. Jesus.
Yeah, we are gonna have to explain it.
Sorry,
for
the BBC just called. They want to give you a job.
Well, be careful, mate. Like, a lawsuit on you.
They've got enough to worry about with RTD running. Ruining Doc 2 not being a Savile. That wasn't where I was going with that. Yeah. Ruining Doc 2, just from what I know of, no Saviling. So the villain, or not the villain, but the kids in the prologue,
yes,
who we find one of their victims has got Jimmy written on them. They basically held them upside down and dripped them into a blood bag. So we get the idea that Jimmy's not a great guy.
Yeah, his name's plastered in a few shots as well.
Oh really?
There's quite a few shots. Yeah, I think there might be 3.
So he's got turf in this area, isn't he?
Yeah, it seems that way. But yeah,
we meet him and he's got a gang of
Jimmys.
Of Jimmys. They're all dressed like Jimmy Savile.
The biggest swing of the movie.
Yeah.
The biggest swing of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the idea that they're modelled after Jimmy Savile. I don't mind the idea that either they've modelled themselves on Jimmy Savile in that universe literally, or he's just meant to look like Jimmy Savile, and Jimmy Savile doesn't exist in the 28 Days Later universe. Do you know what I mean? They're just drawing a visual parallel. I don't know whether it's A or B.
Right.
I don't necessarily mind that. I think it could be interesting. I do like what you were saying earlier about this is zombies but British, so you've got your kitchen sink drama. What is probably one of the things that rocked British media culture of the last 20 years the most is that Jimmy Savile, who was Jim will fix, he was a national treasure, a massive kids entertainer, turned out to be the monster that he was. I do think using his image in this British zombie drama is an interesting idea. So I think that works. Where it falls apart for me is the way they're a gang of Jimmy Saviles.
That's where
they flip and they do kung fu. The looks of it.
Yeah.
They hand to hand a bunch of zombies who we've spent all movie being you have to be 10 paces away.
Yeah. Talk about a tonal fucking jump.
Yeah.
It fucking goes full B-movie exploitation comedy fucking.
It's very strange.
Wild. Compared to the start, very gritty, like we said, kitchen sink drama esque, and then it. Yeah, and obviously it's got its zombiness in it, but then it's got a touch of that anyway. But to just jump to this was what the? I think it kind of just does the rest of the movie a lot of disservice.
It's weird because it's I don't think it's especially a grounded world. It's gotten less and less grounded as it's gone on as a series, and in this one I do think there's some quite outlandish stuff the whole concept of Ralph Fiennes' doctor and his bone temple. And the fact that we have this mainland pilgrimage and the way the society is ritualistic with the bow and arrows and we've got the different breeds of video game zombies. I do think it's going more in that direction. So the whole idea of there being this gang that melee them, I don't necessarily mind.
No.
It's
No,
more
of
just the
course not, no.
depiction.
It's more the
Yeah,
flipping
The way they're
shit,
like, but
yeah.
not just the flipping. It's like they've got like these like batons and shit, and they go like,
Yeah.
and like all the zombies
direction,
like, like, you know, it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if they'd come in and like
Yeah.
hacks them apart,
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have been like, oh, I'm buying this a little bit more.
Yeah.
But the gymnastics was a stretch.
If you showed it to me, it was like this is a scene from like a disaster movie, epic movie type film.
Oh, like zombie movie.
Yeah, I would be I wouldn't bat an eyelid. Like, I think it was like it was so whoa, like
the just stills of Jack O'Connell in this movie. I would think like he's that gold member.
Yeah.
I mean, Vinky was a key.
Yeah, I am very glad he's now in the series though, because I do think he's always insane.
Yeah, he's
great.
He's
Yeah.
great. He's great. Because I knew he was in the film before seeing it, so I was always like, where is this guy? Where is he? And then he just pops up. I do think it was so tonally jarring though, because I think they're trying to compare it to the Teletubbies scene at the start, right?
Yeah.
Like that. I think it's meant to be like, oh, these are the kids that are free and
Yeah.
the sort of I don't know what the Teletubby land's called, but like this is their Teletubby land, isn't it? But I feel like you lose that just because of the way it's directed, and I don't know if it's Danny Boyle or maybe Neil DaCosta picked up the little ending. Maybe I don't know, but I think it has not got me looking forward to the next one.
It's
if I'm being
strange.
honest with you.
It's very strange.
It's interesting. So, do you think that I haven't thought about this? Just as you said. So, do you think that they are kind of like a group? So, do you think they're basically like a Hook type characters where they like a Neverland type, where they haven't grown up because they grew up
I do think
in this world.
I think they're more
That
of
is
those
that,
kids
yeah.
from the start.
that could be interesting. I just
That
think
is
it's
interesting,
the way it's been handled is not.
I think they're like survivors of that whole urban scene.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be good. It's just, it's the gymnastics and that, bit totally a bit of a stretch.
With Power Rangers, isn't it? Like that I immediately was like, I didn't think of the Teletubby thing until, a good 20, 30 minutes after, because I just thought Power Rangers, fucking Jimmy Savile Power Rangers.
I love the idea of just like explaining this movie to someone.
Yeah.
Now Jimmy Savile shows up.
Yeah,
he's
like,
literally called
wild.
Jimmy.
Like no one, I think like if you guys had seen it, like if you'd have come out and said this to me, I'd be like, fuck off, mate, you're having me on. Like, you would have, wouldn't you? You would. I'd be like, fucking having me on.
Yeah.
Well, we had that experience a little bit.
Because I saw him before I saw the film, and he was like giving me these cryptic teases, like, you won't believe the last time. When I was like, oh, give me little hints and that.
Yeah.
And so I was sort of trying to, because obviously I did want to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a deal breaker. Also, I think there was enough good stuff in this. I think Alex Garland is right in the next one, isn't he? Who's a filmmaker I think has more hits than misses.
I think so too.
So I'm confident that it'll be good.
Yeah.
Also, I think the best stuff character-wise was I really liked the little boy being like, I want to go save my mum, and then the doctor being like, there's nothing we can do. And then it to then be like an exploration of like, we're in this bone temple, like this whole thing that we get a really nice like bit of setup from Antonio Johnson. Like, he seems like a fucking nutter burning all these corpses, and like he is kind of a nutter, but he's also like it's because he really values like who these people once were, and like he's trying to make like a monument to like the people that we have left behind in this new world. And I think there's actually something like really sweet about him as a character, and the way like he takes really good care of these skulls, both like Eric, who he didn't know, and then the mum who he met very briefly. And I do think like getting the boy to like sort of say goodbye to his mum in that way and like place her on top of the bone spire. I really liked all that stuff. Even though it wasn't like a thrilling finale, I really just enjoyed the character aspect of that. And I really hope that doctor character comes back into the fold. I could also see him just being one and done, which I hope not.
It's weird he doesn't leave, actually, now that I think about it. Why doesn't he go with Spike?
Well, I guess that's his like home,
but you'd think like, I'm a doctor, I could go help people. I don't know, just makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point, I guess. But
it's not a nitpick.
Yeah, I did find it. I did struggle with the mum and son stuff for me, because I think what I found difficult is like, I feel like a lot of it's a bit of a stretch. Like,
you hate women.
No, it's a kid, and it's a woman who's not mentally well in this zombie world where we've already established in the first half that like it's you're struggling when you've got you've got a guy who knows what he's doing going out doing it.
You've got Mr. James Bond not yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Struggling.
And it's like, and then you, for some reason, you go out and they don't seem to be in contact with hardly any of the
nowhere near the same amount.
And
also, like, at the end of the movie, the kid goes back by himself to the island. That's just like a cut.
Yeah.
It's like, well, so that was like, that was the whole movie right there that we didn't see.
Exactly.
That stuff is weird.
And I think that kind of, that was kind of annoying me to the point where I wasn't.
That's plot stuff, though, right? I get. I agree with you.
But their character, I wasn't connecting with them too because of that. Like I didn't feel. I don't know. I don't feel like there was enough with them. I found it jarring. I found it frustrating.
I think
so it wasn't making me.
The first act as well.
I think that probably could be part of it.
I think it bothers me in a
well.
plot sense of like how they got there. But I think what we learn about her and then that payoff of the time they spend together as she like agrees to die. Yeah, I think was enough for me to get invested. I thought it was quite affecting.
The thing is, I feel like it's there. It's written down. They say it, but I'm not feeling it. You know what I mean? Like I don't think the movie makes me feel it. Like they're saying these things that this is their connection with each other. But by the time I get to that point, I wasn't feeling it. Although at the same time, I do respect that they didn't go there and he has some miracle cure. That it is that she's dead. At the same time, I
also like that he's not. I did expect the character, because it is Ralph Fiennes, to like exactly that kind of like, oh, I'm very good at what I do, and I'm also very casual about it, and like, this intense situation. I'm just kind of like, oh, here you go, Samson. Here's some iodine. But they can't stand iodine. I thought he'd be that kind of character, and I was right. But also, I liked that there was more to it than that. You know, he wasn't just like, you know, and also I'm glad that he didn't like do a twist where like, actually he's actually a nasty nutter. They've already kind of done that with Chris Eccleston. I don't need that again.
No, you are right. You are right.
Yeah.
But any overall thoughts or anything you think we haven't covered yet? I feel like we kind of covered the zombies.
Yeah.
I like Taron Taylor-Johnson. I want more of him in the next one. Definitely.
Yeah. He was a standout.
I think the kid was actually really good as well. I really like that he's the protagonist in this world.
I wish we got more of Aaron Taylor-Johnson and the kid, or at least like there's in the second half of the film we don't even cut away to Aaron Taylor-Johnson. Like from the moment he realizes they've left, do you know what I mean? Why don't we see that? I know what you mean. Very odd.
I thought what was going to happen is he was going to wake up the next morning and realise they're not there, and then like run after them.
Yeah.
Like, and be kind of like behind them at every kind of turn. But
overall, I think, I did think it would be better. I did expect it to be better. I think the second time I watched it, the character stuff worked more for me. But the second time I watched it, the stuff connecting to 28 days and 28 weeks later, that's where it kind of falls short for me. And I feel like the movie wants to talk about so many things. It wants to talk about Brexit. It wants to talk about COVID. It wants to talk about Jimmy Savile. And I think if there was less focus on that and just more focusing on the characters, and to some degree it is, but I do think it just gets lost in that source of it, especially like I do agree with Charlie. Like, admittedly, I was feeling it more the second time. With Jodie and Spike. I forgot Jodie's name. Ilsa, whatever her name is. I was kind of hoping to get a bit more out of it, because it just felt so. I don't know if you boys felt it, but the Bone Temple is such a reminder of COVID, and I felt like that was kind of like the heartbeat of him. Of Alex Garland trying to tell a story, and I just don't think that's how I would approach it personally.
I think it's hard not to avoid that stuff when it was like such a big defining moment of the decade.
Yeah, of course.
And we are like catching up with this 28 years later, so it's like, what is Britain? What can we say about Britain now? One thing I did think was kind of a slam dunk, if you are going to talk about the pandemic, which we spoke about a little bit when we left cinema, is like one thing that annoys me in this franchise in general. Yeah. Outside of COVID is like, why are people not wearing masks?
Oh, yes.
Which obviously has real world parallels to the pandemic, where there was this whole debate. Like, you know, it kind of became very politicised. Like, do you wear masks or not? Is it like propaganda? Blah, 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 blah. And like, in this world, it's like, you know, for example, the Jimmy Saviles attacking the zombies. They're chopping them up. the blood's going everywhere. I'm like, if you're seasoned zombie hunters, I feel like the first thing you do in that world is wear a mask or a bandana, because you don't want the blood to get in your like mouth or eyes. And I just feel like there would be a nice parallel there of like, you should mask up. Like there's certain people that like think you should mask up. Like it's
also,
weird.
You'd save a lot of money on production because you like during the action shots you just cover their face and just swap the person.
It's a stunt double, baby.
Yeah,
but it's just weird in that world, isn't it? And I get it's a movie.
It is weird. But I feel like they abandoned the whole, not abandoned because it is in it. The whole kind of like the blood touching you. Like in the first film, you have the crow and in the blood drop. Great moment with the father, who instantly turns, and it is heartbreaking to see in 30 seconds the change and the loss. Whereas like you just don't get.
There's a great moment in 2 as well, of a kiss that starts to transfer. Like, it's also great. So it's like the spit and the blood that can so easily get on you and transform you. That's also something that was always made this series unique. Yeah. And I feel like they've kind of shied away from that a little bit more and more.
But they have that one moment where they're in the field and there's that Cillian Murphy-looking zombie but behind them. So they are aware of it, but I just don't think they decided to utilise it more.
But it seems like a slam dunk to talk about like masking and covering up and
I know
the virus spreading.
I feel like you get some iconic looks as well. I don't know.
We'll see. I don't think we can go much longer. I think Charlie might actually combust.
He's
having a time of it. He's having a time of it.
It's been a long week. I'm sorry, guys.
If you were an iPhone battery percentage, where would you say you're at right now?
I'm on. Do you know, like on that 1%, and like
it's
you're
been
like
going on for so long.
Yeah, and you're kind of amazed how long it's been functioning. And you're like, it could go any minute now. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Oh wow. Okay. The apps are starting to run a bit slowly.
Yeah. I'm trying. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
I feel like I've said some interesting stuff.
Well, we'll put it to you, the viewer. Let us know if Charlie says some interesting stuff. Let us know what you thought of 28 years later. I keep wanting to say weeks. Yeah. Days, weeks.
It's weird.
Yeah. Monthly, yearly, till these dumb motherfuckers see clearly.
And end.
Yeah, it's a good spot to end it. Yeah. It's me being cool as fuck.
keep that.
A huge thank you to Dr. Chike and Peter Vaughan for being my full fat patrons. Your contribution to keeping the channel running is immeasurable. If you'd like to join the Patreon for exclusive goodies, early releases of main videos, the podcast, video scripts, and a thank you in the credits, then please head on over to patreon.com/fullfatvideos to choose one of the paid tiers.